Hi everyone and welcome to Crafts with Mike. Now today I have a little cross stitch project. It is a cross stitch card set that I got from theworks.co.uk about several weeks ago. Yeah, I thought this would make a good Christmassy sort of craft, and obviously it makes one. In here you've got your fabrics and you've also got your card around the edge there. We've also got a needle in there, some colour threads, so we'll open it up and we'll see what it looks like, shall we? So the Works is such a brilliant shop because they do everything so budget friendly, and everything's just so cheap in there, so it's really good. So let's take a look in here. We're not actually going to do any today. This is like the kickstart of it, so we'll show you what is in there so far. And as you can see, from what I can see here, we've got our needle, so be very careful that you don't prick yourself with that. You've got a gold bit there from the looks of it, and then obviously the end part. I think that's to replicate the sharp end or something. But what I can see is it looks as if you've got two different needles in that, or pins if you like. So we've got that. We've got ourselves, let's have a look here. So if we undo this, we've got ourselves all sorts of lovely threads here, so put that to one side for the minute. But these are our threads. So we've got sort of like greens, blues, yellows, pinks, white. That's really lovely. Yellows, all sorts of wonderful threads there. So they're your threads. And the next thing that we've got is obviously the card itself, right? A little picture of the tree there, which is pretty good. And you've then got your, there's a specific word for this, but I can't remember what it's called. But this is actually the cross stitch material, which will put the material into it. And then the idea is with this little card, you then put the cross stitch into it and it makes like a little card in it. So really good. We've also got ourselves another bit of card. So what you can do is you can put a little bit of card in there, and then if you're happy with that, you could then put your little cross stitch on top of it, and then obviously that makes yourself a little card in here, which looks really good. We'll get that all out. We've also got ourselves an envelope, which is really lovely. So obviously if you wanted to send it to someone for Christmas and write Merry Christmas in it, you can, which is that. And then obviously we've got our little template here, and as you can see it's got the stitch symbol. So obviously on here we will have symbols and it will tell you what colour it is. We've got a cross stitch, a back stitch. The number of lengths is 4, so it tells you about the number of lengths. You've got colours for different symbols and bits and bobs, and then it says to sort the threads into different colours using the key to help you. Each thread comes in 6 strands, so all the cross stitches first using 2 strands of the 6 strand thread. All X stitches symbol use 2 strands, all of the 6 strand thread except back stitches in 1 strand of black use the colour picture to help you. So what they're saying here is that each thread comes in 6 strands, so all the cross stitches first using 2 strands. So all the cross stitches, I'm assuming they mean with the cross symbol, because down here it does say all X stitches symbol use 2 strands, all of the 6 strand thread, except back stitches in 1 strand of black. So yeah, very interesting. But it looks as if we use 2 strands per thing. So obviously in here what we would do is, what we will do actually for the first consignment is we will make, this will be broke down into sections, but what I'd like to do first is I think I'd like to put the card in there first so we can make it like so. So if we put the card in, line that up as best as we can. It doesn't have to be necessarily perfect, but what we're aiming for here is that the crease goes in with the crease of the card, and then it goes onto there like so. So what I'm going to do for this is I'm going to use some Tacky Wacky glue. This is the Tacky Wacky glue. I'm just going to use a cocktail stick to see if there's any blockage, because this does dry up a bit. So I'm just going to just release that little hole there, see if there's any blocked section here. What's lovely about these is they've got a very ultra fine tip rather than that part there, so you can get right down there. What I want to do is I'm going to put some glue around the edge of the card, and then I'm going to put some glue on here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to splodge probably the back on first, and what we'll do is don't need an awful lot, but you know, just enough to hold it in. PVA or any sort of glue, it's entirely up to you. And then I'm going to just, with this, I'm going to go down a bit more, just to give it a little bit reinforcement there. Okay, and then what we're going to do is we're going to get the card and probably position that roughly about there. Okay, so I'm happy with that. Just give that a gentle press there for that to do that, and then as you can see, we've just got enough for that part, so that's good. And you can bend that over and hold that down flat, which is really good. And what we'll do is, while we're waiting for that to dry, it shouldn't take too long, but we can always put your top of the glue back on. This is great stuff. It comes from Amazon or any craft shop, but what they're also saying is to separate all the strands. So what we'll do is we'll separate all the strands. These are very, very long threads. As you can see, it goes on quite a bit. So obviously what I'm going to do is, they all look the same colour, so I'm going to get each of my strands separated here. Okay, this is a lovely green, and obviously be careful not to get it caught up in a knot, because it can be quite difficult to get that undone. Okay, so what we're doing is we're just making sure that we've got all our little strands. That's our green done, so we'll put that over to one side. The next part, I'm probably going to go for yellow. So just wrap it up as best you can. So that's yellow. I think we've only got one of that, so yeah, that's one. Okay, so yellow, which is that one. We're then going to go for lime green, I should imagine. So that's the lime green, which looks really good. Again, we've only got one of them. So yeah, and then I'm going to check for, it looks like we've only got one of each colour now, so, but what we can do is just separate them as the card said, and get that all lovely and wrapped. It will also make it easier to work from as well. So yeah, so we've got the blue one. I'm not entirely sure how long this card will take to stitch, but I like to break it down into segments. I don't like to do it all in one session, if you get me. So I'll probably keep it as an ornament. I quite enjoy, I've never really done cross stitch, but it's always, I've always wanted to do like a crafting thing. So that's red, and then we've got what looks to be pink and brown. Brown is obviously the stump of the tree. I'm not entirely sure what the pink is supposed to replicate, but yeah. And then obviously we've got the pink as well. Okay, what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring back the card, and I'm going to get myself a cotton wool bud. Now you can see we've got some excess glue down the side here, so I'm just going to get myself a cotton wool bud, and I'm just going to scrape off the excess glue. Turn it around again, and just scrape off that excess glue, like so. Okay. Lovely. Okay, so I think that's probably set. I'm happy with that. So the next segment is we're now going to glue all around the edge of here. So again, I'm going to get my tacky wacky glue, and I'm going to put, you don't really, what I'm going to do with this one is I'm going to do a line, and then like a zigzag shape, because it's a bit thicker at the top. We'll do a zigzag shape, and then we'll do a line, and then again at the bottom a zigzag shape. Now what you're not going to do is you're not going to glue that because that's going to be what the cross stitch sits to. But what we can do with this one is because we can fold that over. Got a bit stuck there. What's happened here? But what we can do is fold that over like so. Like that, and then tension it a bit like that. Lovely. Now you'll notice what's happened here is the card is a little bit off center, but we can always trim that up. That's not a problem. We can trim that up, no problem at all. And then obviously in the inside we can just tap that round a bit, push it down, let it all lovely stick. And then again, what I'm going to do is I'm going to I need to have a look for some more cocktail sticks, but what I can do is just go back over it a little bit like that, and then just let that glue. Now what's quite nice about this is that then you've then got your basic foundation of the card on. You can put your little message in there like Merry Christmas or anything, and then maybe on this side you can put like a little pattern or something, or perhaps stick a £5 note if you wanted to. But as you can see, that's all pretty much done. Now what I'm going to do is I've just noticed a slight mistake, because what the problem we've got here is I've just noticed a slight error. I'm not going to take that off, but that was supposed to be inside of there. So what I'm going to have to do is, if we look at the center point, I'm going to mark this with a permanent marker, because I'm going to have to now trim it and insert it inwards. So what I'm going to do is on here, I'm going to mark near the corner. So because that is supposed to be on the inside, but what I can do is I can just make it, trim it around the edge, and then center and stick it into it. So slight error. I knew there was a reason why we didn't glue that yet, but that's fine. I'm happy with that, no problem. So that's our first little stage. Actually, I might, let's see if we can peel that off. Yeah, okay, cool. So we can peel that off then. What we can do, it might peel the paper off a bit, but what we can do is we be very, very careful. Let's take that up a bit. Yeah, it will peel off some of the paper, but what we can do, that will then mean that I can stick that there and flip it over without cutting it. Okay, so don't make the mistake I did and glue this on first, because that's where the cross stitch goes. But obviously the back part is there ready, and I'll leave that open to dry, and then it'll just be a case of putting that in there, flipping it over, and then that's done. Okay, so that's that part. Now, so while we let that dry, we're going to, obviously we've got the little envelope. We basically, number of lamps is 4, obviously, as you can see. Now, they've got it. If we count here, what we do is we count it. So, for example, we've got here, you can see it's got 1, 2, 3, 4. The first one is a 5. So, from the center point, which I would say is probably there, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That hole there. So on that part, I'm going to mark it with a pencil. I'm going to see if I can mark that with a pencil, because what we'll have to do, pencil will rub off, so we can mark it with a pencil. Let's have a look here. Yeah, so we've got a pencil here. So again, I'm going to mark it. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24. So then again we count from the edge, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24. So I would say I'm going to bring it over a little bit more. I want to go about the dead center point. So I would then go, and then we bring it down 4. So then I would go from the center point 1, 2, 3, 4. But then you've also got the card there. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to measure it, because obviously we need to ensure that if we put that into there, that's going to flip over. So I'm going to go from there. So 1, 2, 3, 4. That one will be our starting point. So this little one here will be the starting of the tree, because 1, 2, 3, 4, and that one there. Okay, cool. So that's that part. Then what we're going to do is we then have to obviously kit up the needle, and that is going to be, that will be with our, as you can see, we're going to be using the line, which is yellow, and when it's 1, number of lengths is 1, and it's going to be stitches in 1 strand of black, but we're going to do that one there, which is a back stitch. Okay, so we're going to get our yellow, as you can see. Now these are all different strands, but it said the number of one is 1 strand. Okay, so I'm assuming they mean 1 strand like that. Okay, so 1 strand. Okay, so 1 strand, as you can see, and we then have to kit it up with the needle, which we've got here, and I can see we've got a pin here or something. Is that a pin? I can see like a little, normally in a needle you'll have a little hole in it, but this seems to be like a picker. This is what, that is not a needle, that's what they do to cut the, that's to cut the thread. So what we're going to have to do is I'm going to have to order some needles, because I was under the impression this comes with a needle, but that is, as I said, that's to pick the thread out. So I think we've done a lot in this session today, but what I will do is I will make sure that we can do that. But yeah, we've near enough got the first little hurdle out of the way, and this is our 1 strand. When you look at a strand, okay, there are various strands. This does not count as 1 strand, because in here, as you can see, you've got 1, 2, probably 3, and then the 4th one's there. That's what they mean by 1 strand, okay? So we've done that for that session. I think that's a good start off. I will get some needles ordered. But yeah, I'm pretty happy with that. So please remember to like, share and subscribe. Tap the bell if you want to be notified of all the videos I do. And I will see you in the next session where we start to get this all cross-stitched. But anyway, if you want to get this for yourself, it is from The Works. It's a lovely little craft. And I'll see you next time. Bye, guys.